Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law, coming to you live from the studios of Galaxy Television. My name is Judith Renoir. Today we'll be taking a look at the siege on the National Assembly. Security officials on Tuesday, August 8, stormed the premises of the National Assembly, barricading the entrance of the complex. Lawmakers and members of staff of the Senate chamber were prevented from entering the premises. You will recall that a lot has been going on in the National Assembly following the defection of 15 lawmakers and 37 House of Representatives members to the opposition PDP, the ADC, as well as ABGA. And most recently was the defection of the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, who many political pundits say would not come with its own implication. Let's take a look at what transpired at the National Assembly on Tuesday. I'll be right back to continue discussion on this, as well as calls by the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, calling for the resignation, and if not, the impeachment of Bukola Saraki as Senate President. This and more are what we'll be taking a look today on democracy and the rule of law. The report first. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Tuesday's incident is a new twist in the unfolding executive-legislative rift on the day that the National Assembly leadership of both houses is billed to hold an emergency meeting to discuss pending legislative matters, including the INEC budget, which has prompted the call by the presidency to have the parliament reconvene. But the lawmakers saw more than they bargained, as they were barred from accessing the parliamentary building with armed hooded DSS operatives standing in the way. The anger and frustration soon got way over the roof as the lawmakers questioned the justification of the lockdown at the Nigerian parliament.
With those who are here, the better give them that order. We come here today to come and prove it to the Nigerians. 180 Nigerians. Yeah. Order from above. Who's above? Who's the person above? Are they above the God that put them there? Is that what you actually call for? Do you call for this kind of a change?
By the DSS operatives you can see here, we are waiting for the rest of our colleagues to come, and we will see how many of us they want to kill.
Yes!
How many Nigerians they want to kill. We have told them this number of men is not enough. They should go and bring more citizens and more men to stop us from entering the symbol of Nigeria's democracy.
This is Nigeria house!
The blockade at the National Assembly's main entrance subsequently prompted senators to seek alternative routes to gain entry.
Here is already
Some
blocked.
of us will go to the other side.
They can't pass here.
Because there's no way we will all go to one side.
This place is blocked already.
Meanwhile, Senators Rafiu Ibrahim and Biodun Lujimi, both PDP senators, say the action of the security operatives is unacceptable.
We are just waiting for our colleagues, then all of us in number will address them, then we want to see if they will still stop us. We want to ask them what do they want to do inside the National Assembly today, why they are here this early and blocking the way, not protecting us, but making sure we are not able to access our office.
Some people are being allowed to go into the chambers through another route, and we won't take that. We were all elected to be senators, and this impunity cannot stand. This is our country. We are elected members of parliament, and this has never happened before.
Senator Ben Moore Bruce says the grand plot to impeach the Senate leadership is gradually unfolding.
We have been invaded by state security. It has come to our attention that our colleagues cannot go to work after we adjourned for our summer holidays. We have been informed that the APC senators are attempting to effect a change of leadership. This is anti-democratic, against the law and against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In all of the drama, there was no lawmaker of the APC in sight. When one Honorable Johnson Agbonaima from Edo State eventually showed up, he did not approve of the day's event.
You're welcome back, and you're still watching Democracy and the Rule of Law. And that report you just saw there was what happened at the entrance of Nigeria's Legislative Powerhouse on Tuesday, August 7. And I have with me on the show today legal practitioners as usual. And I have with me Barrister Tunde Kolawole. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me, Judith. And good afternoon to all the people who are listening to us.
Thank you. I also have with me the NBA Chairman, Ikeja Branch, Barrister Dele Oluke. It's nice to have you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers.
All right. I'll start with you, Barrister Oluke. Have you seen anything like this before, where security operatives will barricade a whole National Assembly, like I said earlier, Nigeria's legislative powerhouse? What do you think the intention was, Barrister Oluke?
Well, to my mind, it is very difficult to figure out what the intention could be, because the government in power, APC, is always in control of the Inspector General of Police, and by extension, the Division of State Security Service. If I say that I have not seen it before, I'll be deceiving Nigerians, and I'm not used to doing that. We have seen how in mass they invaded the house of judicial officers under the Constitution of Nigeria, and by so doing, they secreted the judiciary, which is an arm of government. The only aspect I can add is that we are too pretentious in Nigeria, and that is the first qualification of a would-be politician in Nigeria. Because if an arm of government can send an agency under it to another arm of government, as provided for in the Constitution, which is our ground norm in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and people are clapping for them, then it means that what we have seen of recent by invading the National Assembly is just a child's play, or what we can say a normal pattern in the governance of Nigeria. And so I will not be correct to say that I have not seen things like this before. And I remember very well, not long ago, those who are in Senate now, one of them is the young man, Solomon Olamilekan. There was a time they have to climb the fence to get into National Assembly. I mean, Waziri Tambua was one of them. Yeah. We saw them live in the Rwanda, trying to scamper with their big tummy to make entry into Nigerian National Assembly. In a democratic government, it wasn't as bad as this, even when Muhammadu Buhari, at the age of 30 years plus, were holding forth as ministers in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it's not new, my sister.
All right, Barrister Kolawole.
Well, like Barrister Oluke said, Nigeria is a country of melodrama. It's a one day, one drama. And it's now become a part and parcel of our life to see some of this melodrama play itself out, not just in the area of politics, I must say, in the area of economy, in the area of in our social lives, what have you. I will recollect that during the military era, each time the military were trying to overthrow the civilian administration, three phases of our life were always at risk. Most times the military will lay siege on the National Assembly, they will lay siege on the seat of the presidency, that is the resident of the president. They are also fond of laying a siege on the media houses with view to hijacking those places so as to be able to broadcast whatever messages they want to broadcast to reach out the people. So those times I will remember when Buhari himself carried out a coup in 83, or is it 84 or thereabout, 83 or thereabout. He also did similar thing, laying a siege to the National Assembly and some of these other places. Under the civilian role, you also recollect that when Obasanjo was there, different houses of assembly in this country, as at one time or the other, had sieges laid on them for one reason or the other. You will recollect that when they wanted to torpedo the government of Ayodele Fayose, when they wanted to impeach him and all that, the State Security Service, the police and all that, were the people who went to carry out that coup, in which less than the required quorum of the Criticism Assembly, I think about 9 or 10 of them impeached the sitting governor and all that. And then they did under the cover and the pretense of the cover that the State Security Service and the police gave to them. And ditto, we saw it in Adamawa too, and all that, and it's been on and on like that. You also recollect that when there were moves to impeach President Olusegun Obasanjo when during his, I think, first time too, and all that, there were all sorts of maneuvers in the National Assembly too. At the time, huge sums of money were brought to the National Assembly, which the Speaker put on the table in there, which was said to have been brought from the Secretary of Government, with the intention to induce the people in the National Assembly to impeach President Olusegun Obasanjo. They didn't just go with money at that period in time and another. All sorts of security cover were also provided for some of these people and another to be able to carry out or to effectuate whatever intentions they had in mind. So it's not a new thing. But the question we want to ask ourselves is this. This new one, who is the originator of this? And why was it carried out? Ordinarily, the National Assembly, 2 or 3 people would have the responsibility to call for security or to mobilize or ask the Secretary of Government to really come over India to assist them to guard or protect the National Assembly. We have the clerk of the National Assembly in India. We also have the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives and all that. If there were challenges like Daura was saying, he said he got some intelligence report that certain things were going to be done at the National Assembly and all that. He probably would have to bring this thing to the attention of either the clerk or the chairman of the National Assembly, which is the Senate President or the Speaker of the National Assembly, or even the acting president. These are some of the security reports that I'm getting. And with this security report, I think there might be the need to deploy security to protect the National Assembly and that. But it doesn't appear to me that that was the case. Both the Senate President, the Speaker, and then the acting president, they had no knowledge whatsoever
of what happened,
and what is happening. So that tells you that the motive behind this is a very, very sinister one, which may be totally unholy. And then, like my chairman had said, it's a travesty of democracy in all its ramifications. And it is not a thing that we should really indulge, clap for, or encourage anybody to carry out. Because there are 3 arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and all of them are supposed to be able to act independently without influence, inducement, or even anybody trying to lord anything over there. That at any time, any aspects or branch of the government try to lord itself over the other and other, then you're undermining the foundation of democracy. And that is not too good for our system at all.
All right. With the siege of the National Assembly by security agencies for reasons yet unknown, and you made reference to what happened when the houses of some judges were invaded by security operatives, would you say democracy is thriving in Nigeria, or are we gradually drifting to something else?
I also will say this. Incidentally, many of us were born into this country many years ago. We grew up here and we have always lived here, except on vacations abroad. Incidentally and very significantly, when we go out of the country, we go with our character and virtues, and we come back with them. But unfortunately, those who drop their virtues at Murtala Mohammed Airport or Aminu Kano and then go abroad, live there in a borrowed virtue, and come back to their vomit, and in large majority, and they permeate the political class. And therefore, it is very difficult for anybody, as it were now, to say that this is the pattern that we can call a semblance of democratic norms as that films all over the world. And what I say this is because Nigeria has its own homegrown brand of everything good in life, whereas we hook, sink, and liner import those stupid virtues that the outside world are trying to do away with. And I tell you why. When we got the issue of internet, mobile phone, now WhatsApp, and all those social medias, you will see that we have bastardized it. Unfortunately, we do not have a country with responsible leadership that nip the consequences, the negative consequences of this foreign import in the bud until they begin to manifest negatively in our social, economic, and political life. And therefore, what we have seen in Nigeria from First Republic is not what you can call a democratic setting that is known to the whole world, but our own negative democracy. Because as far as I'm concerned, a democracy where executive will send its agencies, be it DSS, police, civil defense, even neighborhood improvement watch, against people that they see as perceived enemy, does not conform with the tenet of democracy all over the world. It is one breath of democracy, the other one of autocracy. And therefore, we cannot call it democracy. And this is why we are not getting dividend of democracy. Because we are only pretending to be democratic. Whereas, in our daily life, as it's played out, we are not democratic.
Totally.
Otherwise, how can you have, for instance, a country where even the president will complain that when I have case in court, it was not decided the way I like it. Even my classmate was on the panel that determined my case. He couldn't help me or do the case the way I would have loved it to be. You cannot have a court where you do things the way you like. A court system must generate its own principles and ethos in accordance with what a court must be. It doesn't matter whose house is God. And that is why I don't believe in television lawyers. You are in court, start your beef very well, you come to the television and say, I do not agree with that judge. Or maybe people like APC chairman at one time saying a judgment is a black market judgment or injunction. And this is
whereas the case is determined on its merit and
exactly.
The facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it were not to be, those who appoint the judge have seen the person, him or her, qualified to be a judex under the Constitution. If he has done well or not, the court have hierarchy. If you do not agree, you go on appeal. Even if you are not agreeing with the judgments of the Supreme Court, you can go to heaven and appeal to God. But you cannot desecrate Supreme Court or any court for that matter in Nigeria. You'll be doing a lot of service to this country.
All right, Barrister Kolawole, the way things are now, the judiciary had suffered the same heat, and now the legislative arm of government, in connivance with security agents and what have you, are you not seeing a pattern where an arm of government or the other is being emasculated? Is it not a pattern now?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation. Definitely that is what it looks like, in the sense that it is a arm of government that really controls the security apparatus. That is the coercive apparatus of a government. And if you look at the way and manners in which those security apparatus have been deployed lately, you will be worried that one aspect of government, one arm of government, seems to be usurping the powers of the other. Let's take, for example, the judiciary. There is no doubt about it that we have excellent men and women on the bench in there, both at, right from the magistrate level up to the topmost court, the Supreme Court. But as much as we do have all those excellent men and women presiding over our affairs and the court system and all that, there are still a few bad eggs in there who do things that are not ordinarily expected of them. But the question you would ask yourself is this: in trying to handle the suspected decay in the judiciary, is deploying security men to the homes of those judges at night the best way those challenges could have been tackled? The answer probably would be no, because you and I do know that even though they are judges, they are not above the law. There are more polite ways by which you could have drawn attention to some of these malfeasances that you suspect to be happening. Because if there were no malfeasances and all that, a senior advocate of Nigeria would not have been tried and convicted and sentenced lately. Some of these judges also will not be standing trial before their fellow judges in some of these places. But like we said, there are certain institutions that you don't discredit because of what they represent, because of what they symbolize. Once you discredit that situation, especially the justice system, the judiciary and all that, it is the foundation of the whole society that you are really trying to uproot and that you are hammering at. So you have to be very sensitive to that kind of a situation. I'll give you an example. when Lee Kuan Yew, what was he calling, was it Singapore or thereabout, became the president, he said he wanted to reform the society. He knew that the justice system was very, very important to the changes and revolution that he wanted to carry out. And I also believe that our justice system in here is also very important to whatever changes and development that we all may do. So because two things, the justice system determines the value that people allocate to time. Also, the resources, the way they are expended and all that. And then it's also undermined. It's also it's also the one responsible for meting out sanction to whoever may be underlining some of this. When a tenant refuses to pay a landlord who probably took a mortgage to buy a house and all that, what the tenant is doing is maybe leading the landlord to a situation in which there's going to be a foreclosure of the property and the property sold and taken away from him and all that. Also, when you file a case in court, which ordinarily should not last more than 2-3 months and all that, and the case takes about 10 years and what have you, it shows you that somebody is wasting money and somebody is also wasting time and all that. And any society that has no value for time, money and all that society is never likely to make progress. So what I'm trying to draw out is this and that. If we knew that the justice system was corrupt or had some challenges and all that, what we would have done is to find a better way in which to really make some changes to those places. What Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore, I think, was to say he looked for somebody who was a lawyer, who was also a businessman, who had who had value for money, and also need the essence of time and all that. And gradually started introducing and recruiting such people into the justice system, who started piloting the kind of revolution that he wanted into that system. Because he said, look, without somebody having value for time, money, and what have you, and also the vision as regards where the society should go, this society is not going to move forward. Those are the kind of very subtle revolution I would have wanted the Buhari administration to bring to the justice system. Instead of sending hooded security men to the homes of judges at night and all that.
And most recently, the same hooded men at the entrance of the National Assembly.
To the question you were asking, it's obvious now that with the way and manner these security men are being deployed and all that, one arm of government, which is the executive arm of government, has become too overbearing in the way and manner it's in using this justice. And I don't think it's not the DSS alone. I'm sorry to say that. When you also look at the activities of the Nigerian police, these have been some of these political so-called, well, you can say, the way and manner they have handled some of crimes allegedly committed by their political, by the opponents of the APC and all that. You will not be comfortable with it. Take, for example, the Dina Melike. I'm not a fan of Dina Melike. I don't like his politics at all and all that. But when you look at the way and manner that the police have shown, the kind of attention that they've been paying to Dina Melike case and all that, you want to ask yourself the question, why is there so much attention to this person's case and all that? Is it not to undermine or in a way to frustrate or even to take him out politically and all that? He has about 5 or 6 cases now filed against him in different courts and all that. You will also, when one of the cases was going to be filed, it was at the time his recall process was going on. And then that was the time they made all sorts of attempts to make sure that he was not around to really monitor the recall process. They brought a case against him. Also, when the APC Congress was going to be conducted and all that was also when the Nigerian police came up with some other allegations and all that and frustrated him from participating in the APC Congress and all that. So these are some of the things you begin to see, the way and manner you begin to see the executive arm of government, not just the presidency alone, the governors at their respective level, using the security forces and all that to really hamper, destroy, harm, and undermine their political opponent. And when the executive arm of government begin to do that, for God's sake, you are not only undermining yourself, because if you undermine democracy, at the end of the day, you as an executive arm of government cannot stand alone. It is the whole democratic process that will crumble over your head, and then the democracy will not be there again. That is why these people have to be sensitive to some of these things that are happening in some of these places. So I agree with you totally that the way and manner the executive arm of government is using the security forces as of today, it tends to undermine, it tends to really, it's geared towards frustrating the other arms of government in the discharge of their responsibility to the Nigerian people.
All right, but in this case, the presidency has insisted that the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, was not aware that security operatives were deployed to the National Assembly. The acting president then went ahead to sack the then Director General of the DSS, Lawal Daura, for not seeking his consent before sending the operatives to the complex. Now the question is, why would a DG of a security outfit deploy security operatives without informing the acting president. Does this say something about a man who is used to doing things his ways and probably got carried away in the process and forgot that due process must be followed? The acting president should be informed and then went ahead to do as he pleased, or say the presidency is culpable in this particular act and cannot really deny not knowing what an agency under the presidency is doing. Can the president actually feign ignorance? Professor Loke?
Judith, let me say this, my typical way of looking at issues. It would be incorrect to say that Lawal Musa Daura, on his own free will, would deploy men of SSS to National Assembly without being called by the Senate President, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, or Alhaji Yakubu Dogara of House of Representatives, who will have said that there's a likelihood of security breach at the National Assembly, and therefore
we need
your help. Your help. In any case, I keep saying that we were born and bred in Nigeria. We did primary, secondary, university education in Nigeria. So we're used to Nigeria, and we're students of history, luckily for us. It is very difficult for anybody to convince me that somebody will just wake up, especially somebody who has been in a profession of command structure, like DSS. Secondly, this is democracy. When the issues of threats to security or whatever, the first point of call is Nigerian police. DSS is an intelligent unit of state security who ordinarily should not be seen like you see bread and pepper in the market. They themselves, from the way they are being used by executive now, has been desecrated. When we talk about synergy, intelligence gathering, they no longer gather intelligence. Rather, they gather intelligence for domestic, terrible Nigerian politicians. They're looking for, in a house where PDP caucus is doing meeting, a flat in which PDP caucus are doing party. That is not the duty of DSS as far as Nigerian command structure is concerned. As a matter of fact, that body has outlived its usefulness. You mask your face like an armed robber in the day. You are going to National Assembly for whatever reasons. Who do you mask your face for? You are being paid salaries from taxpayers' money. We deserve to know you. If you are from Katsina, then Alhaji Masari should say, you are from this quarter. I know your village head. If you are from Osun State, where I come from, Imperial Majesty, should be able to say, you are from Ilare or you are from Ede, and call the above your town and say, Yakubu is in DSS is misbehaving in uniform. But when you mask your face in the daylight, you are a child of who? Which interest are you protecting? Why must we not see your face if you are carrying out legitimate duty in accordance with your office? So the question is this. The presidency, as it were today, to me, means so many things. I believe there are different groups in the presidency. This is not the first time Lawal Musa Daura will be misused. The acting president is not only a lawyer, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria, a professor, teacher of law, and he's a pastor of a church. If we must be careful, the only thing I can defend is that it is most unlikely that Professor Yemi Osinbajo will agree that DSS should go and invade National Assembly, because he has taught this as a cause, he has guarded it as a fact before the court of law, and he has preached the gospel about earthly governance. But I believe one thing, those who are misusing Daura, either for tribal sentiment, ethnic sentiment, which is not going to be in the interest of majority of Nigerians, know where they are, and therefore I don't think it would be proper for us to sacrifice the young man on the altar of shame. We've done this several years, but this one is one too many, and people are asking questions. I've always said this, you may not like Bukola Saraki, but you cannot, because of Bukola Saraki, undermine National Assembly.
And his office.
That while before him, before he was born, you remember his own father was in National Assembly.
Yes.
Haraji Abubakar Olusola Saraki, which means that after Olusola Saraki and Bukola Saraki, there will always be National Assembly.
I agree.
And therefore, if you are playing politics, you must be very, very careful. Because what we lack in Nigeria are institutions, not men and women of integrity. Yeah. But because we don't have institutions, we will never have galaxy of such men, or where we can be able to say, yes, this is a committee of responsible men and women, professionals who didn't make money from such changing the system. And it is therefore difficult to call some out of the pool of such men because we don't have institutions. I tell you what, in the Department of State Security Service, there will be noble men trained in the heart of intelligence gathering. But because they have been reduced to mask-wearing young men and women, today it is difficult to say our DSS can gather intelligence which they can share with other security agencies for the proper monitoring of security situations in Nigeria. So for me, I don't honestly believe that, in all honesty, the presidency as a whole can deny not knowing whose bidding Lawal Musa Daura was doing in National Assembly on the said date. There must be a purpose. Saraki never invited him. Yakubu Dogara did not invite him. Oshibajo did not invite him. And I tell you why. You remember the story between this man who is a minister of petroleum resources and Mekanti Bello, the group MD of NNPC. The questions at the time was, who awarded contract? Who authorized it? The story again was that somebody visited Buhari on hospital bed, rather than allow the man to recuperate and get well treated, to be telling the sick man about crude oil they want to sell. If they are selling on behalf of us, and they know the proceeds for our life betterment, why can't you let the man be well treated and recuperate in England? And then at the end of the day, between the minister and Mekanti Bello, the story was like typical of Nigeria. Today, you and I know that it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But all we know is that contract was awarded, money was involved, who awarded contract, for what purpose, how much the Nigerian realized. Till tomorrow, Judith, nobody will ever know. This is the kind of country we are in. So the question again was this: did Buhari approve that contract? Was he supposed to award or approve of it? Why didn't we tell the acting president? Was Oshibajo aware of it? Whose interest was Mekanti Bello serving? The young man to Dr. What's his name again, the Minister of Petroleum at that time, Ibe Kachiku, also was ranting. All we saw again was that at a forum, they were hugging themselves.
And that was it.
And that was the end of Nigeria, not that issue. And that may be the way Nigeria will end. But it is very sad because this was not Nigeria into which we were born. And so history will not be kind to all of them if they continue to desecrate our institutions. Because without institutions, a country as large as Nigeria cannot survive democracy and good governance.
All right, Barrister Kolawole, is the sacking of Lawal Daura, is it enough?
It's not enough. Definitely it's not enough. This is a very, very serious issue that is required to get to the bottom of it. The acting president has done a good thing by instructing the IG of police to conduct a very thorough investigation and then do a feedback. From some of the things I have read on the internet, the Facebook, WhatsApp, and all that, it would appear to me that the IG of police has turned in an interim report, in which it said that there is no indication that Daura was ever invited by Bukola Saraki, Dogara, or that the vice president got wind of what he was going to do at the National Assembly. That the man may have been acting on his own. And I have also seen some reports in the media, and also on the internet and what have you, in which they said that the man's house has been searched and that billions of naira in hard currency and the local currency and also weapons and also PCV even belonging to people from Niger Republic, who have applied for Nigerian PCV in huge quantity. Were found in the man too. But the man is not out here now to really be able to speak to some of this information. And until we hear his own side of the story, it's going to be difficult to really begin to make a value judgment on some of the reports or some of the things that we have had in the social media. But one thing is clear from inception, that when you look at the way and manner in which Daura has been carrying out his assignment since he came in, he tends to be a man who has been overzealous in the carrying out of this assignment. He also appears to me to be somebody who may not have due respect for constituted authority. Why do I say this? Look at the controversy over the confirmation of Magu. The presidency wrote to the National Assembly, said they wanted Magu as EFCC chairman. And then Daura, who heads a branch or an arm of the National Assembly or a security outfit under the presidency, would again turn in a report to the National Assembly, to the Senate, and say, look, this man is not a fit and proper person to be appointed as the EFCC chairman. If Daura had his misgivings regarding the fitness or the properness of Magu, what he ought to have done would have been to turn in his report to the presidency, advise the presidency first and say, look, this man, you are so much enamored about making the chairman of EFCC. These are our findings about him and all that. And then Buhari would have a second opinion, the presidency would have a second opinion, whether to recommend him or to insist that the man should be confirmed or not. But Daura never seems to have done that. Rather, he forwarded his report to the Senate and said, look, this is not a fit and proper person. If he had respect for the presidency and those who are supposed to be his superior, and if he was not overzealous and all that, one would not have expected him to have done that. The other area in which one is suspicious of the actions of Daura has to do with the attempted arrest of the former DG of DSS, Ekpeyongo, what was his name, and also the DG of NIA. The EFCC said the people were culpable, were suspected to have been engaged in money laundering and all that. And then they deployed the operative to go and arrest or effect arrest of these two people. Rather than teaming up or cooperating with the EFCC, they clashed. Daura went in there and then blocked the arrest of these people. I have never seen that kind of event being done between two sister agencies. Whether Magu is right or wrong, so long as Magu said he is interested in effecting the arrest of somebody and another, the onus lies on Daura to have cooperated with Magu to effect whatever arrest he wanted to make. Ditto for the chairman of the NIA and another, because all of them are under the presidency and another, and any Nigeria suspected to have committed a crime and another. It is incumbent on all the security forces to have cooperated with one another to ensure that the arrest is effectively or conveniently carried out. He never seems to do that. The other area is that we have also had we have also seen in the past in which the National Security Advisor and also the chairman, the Minister for Defense and all that, and the Daura seems to be working at cross purposes. I have serially asked questions from those who are in the presidency why there seems to be no harmonious relationship between these people and other. And the feelers one gets from there is that, look, Daura never seems to have respect for even the National Security Advisor and also for even the Minister of Defense. He sees himself as only responsible for Mr. President, who is whom they are from the same place and other, who may think that he is the one who appointed him and to whom alone he is responsible to. And then when you have the kind of security architecture that we do have in this country today, ordinarily the presidency should not even, the president should not be the first port of call for Daura in carrying out activities and other. The National Security Advisor is there, the Minister of Defense is there. He ought to be interacting and going to the president through these people.
And this shows there is no synergy.
There is no synergy between these people at all around. And one other thing we must, I'm sorry to say this and all that. For those of us who are trial lawyers who have a cause to interact with the police, with the DSS, with NIA, and then with civil defense, with immigrations and all that, you find out that sometimes some of these people can be sometimes overzealous because of the pecuniary benefits that they want to derive some of these people. Let me give you a little example. A young man in Lagos who was deployed to be guarding a bank a police officer who was deployed to be guarding the bank and all that, was recruited by a politician and taken to Ekiti State during the preparation for the primary of the APC and all that. And in the process, he misused his weapons and all that. And then the director of campaign for Fayemi got injured and all that. If that young man was not too
trigger happy,
and he was not too enamored with making pecuniary benefits for whatever reasons and all that. If there are discipline within the security forces and all that, you will not have seen somebody traverse about 3 states and all that to go all the way to Ekiti to carry out that kind of so-called unofficial assignment. So what I'm trying to say is that we have several seen in this country in which some of these security people are being induced, not just by the president, not just by the scrum of government alone, but even private businessmen who have the means would give inducement to some of these security people to go and carry out assignments that ordinarily they should not be carrying out. So, and there seems to be in that mode, in my own humble opinion. In fact, a deputy, somebody who said he worked with him, he said all of them, he was in the presidency as an administrator and all that. And Buhari brought all of them, they were in the APC. And when Buhari was doing his campaign, Buhari appointed himself, Daura, and one other person, as advisor on security during the campaign. And after the campaign, Buhari put him in the presidency as administrator. He deployed Daura to the DSS and one other person to somewhere else and all that. And then when Daura got appointed in the DSS and all that, the first thing, because he said Daura wasn't too much of an operational person, whereas he was. Buhari solicited, Daura solicited his assistant that she should leave the presidency as administrator and come over to the DSS. And then when he resigned from from being an administrator and went to join Daura, he said that some of the questions that Daura first put to him is that, look, this is an opportunity for all of us to make money, and I want your cooperation in this aspect. That the first budget that we were going to ask from the presidency, Daura advised that they should ask for $1 billion. And then they said, the man was asking, what are we going to do with $1 billion?
Well, those are unverified information.
They are unverified, exactly. They are unverified. But this was the man who said he worked with him and all that. And that when he got very uncomfortable with the way and manner that Daura was using his position to really make money. In fact, he cited the example of the millions of dollars that was discovered with the NISDG. And that when the EFCC stumbled on that money and all that, Daura, in collusion with some people in the presidency, made several efforts to retrieve the money from the EFCC. That was the stubbornness of Marco that didn't make that possible. That since all the time he spent with the man and all that, it was all about money, and making money. And that he got fed up with the situation that he had to resign his appointment. That was somebody who had worked closely with him and all that. So, but like you say, it's an unverified information. When the man comes out, you come and speak at them. But one thing is clear. You cannot rule out that some of our security men, in an attempt to feather their own nest, they are sometimes overzealous and they deploy their energy, their service, and the weapons that they are custodian of in the wrong direction.
All right, now what's the implication of all this? The siege on the National Assembly, the IGP of police claiming it came to him as a surprise, claiming in his reports that...
But we saw some policemen in the pictures that we saw.
We're saying it came to him as a surprise. And the former DG of the DSS acted on his own and based on the instruction of some politicians who he named as accomplices, but he didn't mention their name. What is now the implication of all this? Nobody seems to be taking responsibility. We don't know what is going on with investigation. How do you see this turning out?
Well, Judith, you see, the implication, and I want to add, and the consequence of all these things that are playing out is the activities of Fulani herdsmen, ethnic militias across the state. It is convenient for IG Idris to say he was not aware of it, policemen were not there. Those fellows that seal up Benue State House of Assembly, are they from DSS?
No.
Were they called by Samuel Otom? I have listened to Jimo, Moshood saying that why should the State House Assembly legislate on anti-open grazing? As if it's from Benue State. As if that state, House of Assembly, has no legislative competence.
Shows we have a problem.
To determine how cattle should move in that state.
Yes.
Can you say ordinary Jimo Moshood? could challenge your tone publicly in Nigeria.
The Chief Security Officer of a state.
Of the state. And we have Malami, Habakadi, Attorney General Federation, right in office. We have Chief of Defense Staff, Grebe Olobisaki. We have Dambazo, Minister of Interior. The police officer is querying the legislative competence of State of Assembly to make law in the state. Now, the question is this. Unless we are deceiving ourselves, the current political elite in Nigeria are how to destroy Nigeria. And I say this because when you have a DSS, the question should be this. Who does he report to? Is it the Inspector General of Police? Is it Chief of Army Staff? Is it Chief of Defense Staff? Nobody seems to know. But we know there's command structure. The question is this. Apart from the ceremonial commander of the armed forces, with which our presidents are naturally christened, the only semblance of that, which is the fact that we now have some military, from retired military officers, removing their uniform to wear Babanriga and Agbada and probably tie wrapper, don't know where they come from, to say they are president of Nigeria and therefore bear the wrong appellation, which is a borrow robe of Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. But thank God for Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who said that he is not a military officer. So if there is trouble, please don't blame him. That one, at least he confessed. You know, he confessed and came out. But others bear the name Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces. But here is Lawal Musa Daura. We don't even know who commands his own division. Idris will do his own. Daura will do his own. Civil Defense will do his own. Lasma will do his own. So who is controlling who? I have seen where Aokai went to a palace of Anoba, who is not in good book of the state government, to carry his goods and say he will never be above in an area. Kai, my sister, Kai, kick against the discipline. All this had together tends to show one thing. Nigeria has not evolved as a nation. Are you with me? It's the futile attempt to energize an impotent man behind closed door. He will not be able to do anything. Whether
there's plastic surgery to take care of that now.
Well, it takes money. I hope we have the money. Whether it's worrying, it might not really work. So the question is this. What consequence does this portend for a country of over 200 million people, if properly counted? Because there's nothing Nigeria have max money for that some guys will not steal out of the money. If you say this drug is meant for aid, they will steal it.
80%
Somebody in government stole money meant for internet displaced people. From his own area. The monies he had marked to take care of brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers who have been desecrated by Boko Haram, who incidentally are from their own area too. These guys are said to be Nigerians, whether they are from Niger or Mali, nobody wants to know. But at least this thing affects their people. The two parts of the money. And then there is presidency in quote. Presidency of who? So the consequence of this is this. If I don't like your face and I have mouth in the presidency, I said that right against you. If it is Idris Ibrahim, the IG, I can lay my hand on and said Idris against you. You remember that money's public fund was spent to recall Melaye. When they score 0 votes, where goes the money now? Who advised them to recall Melaye? Why was Melaye being recalled? Whether he has BA Geography or PhD in law, you see material. How he got to Senate is nobody's business. Because if he's not fit to be in Senate, he ought not to be there before if we have strong institutions.
Exactly.
So we made it possible.
Exactly.
If he abuses anybody now, I'll give you an example. Godswill Akpabio got to Senate, which is the sanctuary of ex-governors in Nigeria now. Retirement house. Resting point, and they mostly sleep. He got there against the Senate rule that we are known with. He became a principal officer, a first-timer in Senate. Today, he wrote some funny letters. I don't know who he's writing to and why he should write. He says, I'm resigning from a particular, I'm leaving a particular party, I'm going to another one, and then you now write to relinquish your post as a minority leader. Were you made minority leader by APC or by Senate of Nigeria, the highest hallowed legislative chambers of Federal Republic of Nigeria? This is what these young fellows have turned Nigerians to. And somebody is hailing him elsewhere. They're clapping for him. They're even dancing like when you see them on television. And sometimes I weep for Nigeria. If these are our lawmakers, our president for 30 years now, they can never make good law for the betterment of Nigerians. And this is why in some states, people cannot get minimum wage. Whereas in some, they get a little bit more than minimum wage. You will see governors hold 2 years salary, they will still go on president's entourage abroad. Do they want to go and showcase such failed governor abroad? And back home with us, General Muhammadu Buhari is fighting corruption. What is corruption? What Lawadara has been made to do or did by himself is nothing but corruption.
Probably that's what former President Lord Jonathan meant when he said corruption is not stealing alone.
Yes.
It goes beyond that.
Yes.
Policemen who went to Benue State House of Assembly, I'm from Mosham, not from Benue, but I follow trends, hate to support 8 members. See, this is a legislative issue. It's like arithmetic, not mathematics. You know, mathematics is complex. Arithmetic is 1, 2, 3, 4. So even a 2-year-old child, in fact, 50-month-old baby, will know that if we are 23, this number can remove. This one cannot remove.
Or this one cannot
So,
form or whatever.
regardless of who has invited them, one, they stop that house from functioning, from performing its constitutional role of lawmaking for the people of Benue State. That is corruption. That they ought not to be there in the first place. Having not been invited by the governor of the state, the security officer of the state.
There is corruption.
It's corruption. Now, which of those activities has attracted Ibrahim Magu or Chief of Defence Staff or Inspector General of Police? So it is not enough for Idris to say, I have no hand in it. It was because Osibajo acted. If Lawal Musa Daura has not been sacrificed, Idris will be drinking champagne, thinking of where he also want to go tomorrow. And so the consequence, as I said, is that we are all in trouble because this is not Nigeria into which we were born by our parents.
All right, you're still watching Democracy and the Rule of Law, and still to come, the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Adams Oshiomhole, said Senator Bukola Saraki's era as Senate President is over, as he must be impeached by majority senators from the All Progressives Congress in accordance with the Constitution. The Senate is due to reconvene next Tuesday, and Oshiomhole is saying Saraki cannot preside over the Senate and sustain a minority rule with APC senators in the majority. Oshiomhole was speaking at a press conference in Abuja when he said Saraki must be impeached in accordance with the Constitution, adding that he will not be the first or the last president of the Senate to be impeached. Let's take a look at that. I'll be right back. Just stay with us.
Over 53 senators is returning us back to the PDP era, where the PDP held that 16 governors were more than 19 governors. That is the era Saraki is taking us to. And incidentally, he belongs to that club, and to that club he has returned. So we can see directly where he is going. We can see directly where he's going, that he simply can't change his color, not at old age. When I say the Senate president will be impeached, he will be impeached properly according to law. And the Constitution is clear how a presiding officer can be impeached. And because several impeachments has taken place, both of former Senate presidents and former speakers, we are not about to witness what has never happened before. And so we have enough precedent to fall back on. I have looked at the Nigerian Constitution. It doesn't say that an impeachment, once muted, is by itself illegal until it is done and you looked at how it is done, you can't arrive at a conclusion whether the process was lawful or unlawful. Only a hardened criminal will allege that one is an armed robber even without seeing him with a stolen good or anybody complaining that his house has been burgled by the person. So how can we be accused of planning an illegal impeachment when the impeachment has not commenced? But if he thinks that by saying that he's going to preempt the All Progressive Congress from having him impeached, he is deceiving himself. I think Saraki's time is over.
All right, you're welcome back, and you're still watching Democracy and the Rule of Law, and that was the APC chairman, Adams Oshiomhole, saying Saraki cannot preside over the House, over the Senate. He must be impeached by the lawmakers. And Barrister Kolawole, I did say in my introduction that the game of defection continued, but the game changed when the Senate president defected from the ruling All Progressives Congress to the PDP. I will recall that he came in as Senate president without the support of the APC. Yes, he came in on controversial circumstances, and all has not been well with him since then. And now he's a PDP senator and still the Senate president. Should he be impeached, or has he committed any impeachable offense? What does the Constitution say about a Senate president? Does it really matter the party is?
It belongs to.
Yes, so.
Well, Judy, please, I want to seek your indulgence to briefly go back to the last questions you asked my chairman with regards to the importance. I will just briefly, because of the importance that I attach to it. You were asking what is the implication of all that happened in the National Assembly. The most important implication, in my humble opinion, is that it would appear to me that President Buhari is no longer attentive to the responsibilities of his office. If he's attentive to the responsibilities of his office, all these malfeasances that we are seeing in these different places will not be happening. And it is a tragedy for this country. Even whatever misbehavior Bukola may have done, or whatever some of these other politics may be playing and all that, everything is to be traced to the doorstep of the president. The idea, most of the securities that we have in this country today, were they appointed on merit? The answer is no. The president is probably hiding some things for us. That is to say, he merely wanted people with his kings and the relations and all that, who could cover his tracks. And it's solely based on that filial or whatever affinities and all that he put these people in those strategic places to cover his tracks. So if they are misbehaving the way they are misbehaving, it shouldn't be surprised to any of us. If they have no respect for constitutional authority, we shouldn't be surprised. Now to the questions that you ask, whether Bukola Saraki should continue as the Senate president or he should not continue. No, let me say this very briefly. When you look at Section 50 of the Constitution, it merely says that the senators or the Senate, the House of Rep and all that, will appoint their Senate president or the Speaker of the House of Representatives from among their ranks and all that. He didn't prescribe that you have to be in the majority party, political party, or not. It merely says, look, these people will appoint their own leaders from among themselves and all that. So if Bukola Saraki has been elected to the Senate and all that, and he didn't fight for the office and he was elected, whether by staging a coup or enlisting the services of opposition party to get in there, whatever means, it's neither here nor there. That is a matter for another day. But the issue is this, that we must, the germane question is this. When you look around the world, what is the practices around the world? What is the custom? What is precedent? How are these things done in some other democracies? When you look at most of the other democracies and all that, it has always been the majority political parties that produces the leadership of those assemblies. That is the reason why there are other officers to be other offices to be occupied. Like we have the
office of the minority and the
chief
majority,
whips and all that, because the constitution recognizes, or precedent or customs recognizes that the speaker or the senate president will come from the majority party, and for these other parties not to feel neglected, to not to feel to be part and parcel of the administration of the national assemblies and all that, you are going to be having all these minority whips, this and that, majority leaders and whatever. So if we go by practices in some other democracies and all that, we will say that if Bukola Saraki has left the APC, like Oshiomhole had said, he ought to have left their crown behind for them. But constitutionally, nothing prevents Bukola Saraki from continuing as a Senate president. Okay. But I've always emphasized, any society that says it wants to be ruled by law alone, that society is never going to move forward. That society will become unnecessarily legalistic. In fact, our law courts recognizes customs, precedents,
equity,
and equity, and all that. It recognizes it. Because law can only take care of maybe about 30% of whatever disagreement, disputes, and issues that people have in society. So,
in essence, you're saying Saraki should resign.
But if by custom,
if he does not, should be impeached.
Well, he ought to be impeached if he doesn't resign. Okay. But whether they'll be able to muster the necessary two-thirds majority, as the constitution prescribes, to impeach him is a different thing entirely. But like I said, this is a matter of honor now. It's a matter of value. It's a matter of the kind of precedent that are set in some other jurisdictions, some other democracy, that Bukola Saraki should leave the seat of the Senate president.
All right. Barrister Oloke, I see you disagree. You listened and watched Adams Oshiomhole, and I saw you nodding your head when you're watching. What's your take?
Thank you, Judith. My take is this. Number one, it does not lie in the mouth of Adams Oshiomhole to call for Saraki's resignation. To the best of my knowledge, Oshiomhole was a labor activist, turned governor of a state. He has never contested election to Senate, let alone winning a seat. The Constitution of Nigeria, if you go to section 50, 51 up to 56, merely talked about senators electing one of their own as their president and leader, and other principal officers in that regard, to the extent that Oshiomhole represents a political party. And under Nigerian constitution, no party is bigger than the other. They follow the same requirement under the Electoral Act, which entitles them to be registered. You remember that it was Ibrahim that liberalized registration of political parties in Nigeria. Otherwise, if you come from Ibrahim Babangida's tenure, they have an idea of the number of parties they have in mind as we exist in the country. But following that landmark judgment of Ibrahim in this matter, everybody now in the group, small or big, can form political party, subject to complying with the requirements as set down by INEC or probably Electoral Act, as the case may be. Now, Oshiomhole represents a political party. The Senate of Nigeria does not belong to APC. So it does not lie in his mouth. In fact, he should be arrested for saying that. Because all what he's saying is an insult to number 3 citizen of Nigeria, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki. He shouldn't be saying that. If it's a country that has regard for institutions, it doesn't lie in his mouth. There are chairmen of political parties in Nigeria. There can only be one Senate president at a time. In the legislative quarter, this is the 8th Senate of Nigeria. The leader for now is Abubakar Bukola Saraki. Now, if you say that the man should resign because he has cropped carpet, Oshiomhole Adams never said that go with Akpabio should resign as minority leader when the arguments was raging as to whether a first-time senator can be a principal officer.
But he made reference to the fact that Akpabio did write to the party informing them of his resignation as PDP minority leader before he went ahead to defect to the APC. So, like Bukola Saraki should follow suit.
If the constitution says senators should appoint one of them as president, that provision was strictly adhered to by the Senate, who in its own wisdom appointed Saraki as their leader. It's a shame when the chairman of APC saying that those senators who appointed Saraki cannot count their fingers to know who should be their president. Let me say this to you. We knew this at the inauguration of this 8th National Assembly. The party preferred a candidate. The Senate in its wisdom appointed their leader. It wasn't the first time. You agree with me? If you remember very well, that's partly accounted for how the Bankole became Speaker of House of Representatives. After scale of impeachments in the National Assembly, the wise politicians now felt, okay, let us appoint a younger person that will know cut across the bridge. In spite of the fact that that was not what the presidency at that time and leaders of the political party preferred. Yeah. The boy had problems. He had problems, but he led that house critically well, and gale of impeachment stopped. Although he still paid the supreme price that legislators paid for getting into office by political maneuvering. Now, if Saraki, as Senate President, is being asked to resign by APC, it means that we are importing to the Constitution that provision that is not there. I agree with you that norms, precepts, political culture, whether here home and abroad, determine that the majority party in National Assembly should have one of them as leaders. The reason is this: to drive the policy of the party so as to be able to deliver to the people the promise of dividend of democracy and the ideology of the party to be reflected in governance. But come back to Nigeria. I do not see anything different between the ideology of PDP and APC. Yesterday, Akpabio was PDP, ruled that state for many years, came to Senate as PDP, ditto for Ike Koremadu. Don't forget that he's still holding some positions in international parliamentary associations. On behalf of Nigerian National Assembly, back here at home, because we are good at not obeying treaties, just like they will not obey ECOWAS court judgment on Sambo Dasuki. It does not matter the associations for parliamentary union across the world where Ikwe Koremadu represents us as a senator of Nigeria. The parochial look of the Nigerian political party gladiators is much more important than that, which we see us as a committee of people and a committee of nations. And this put paid to the issue of fighting of corruption, because if an armed robber robs today at gunpoint and joins APC tomorrow, he has become a bishop. So for me, the call for Saraki to resign or get impeached should be left to the Senate of Federal Republic of Nigeria and not to any political party. Because as I tell you, Oshiomhole is not important than the chairman of PDP or chairman of ADC or chairman of SDP. His title is party chairman. Nigeria is not a one-party state. I am persuaded. But it's a logical reasoning. He has equated Nigeria with APC. Just like people like Kelawa Musa Dara, we equate Nigeria with Muhammadu Buhari, TCFR. And this is how institutions get destroyed. I think Adams Oshiomhole, former governor of Edo State, should limit himself to the assignment given to him by APC. It's a political party. After I voted for Buhari, for instance. I do not belong to any political party. So that Buhari is my president is by my choice and my vote, not because I belong to a political party. Yeah. And so if we only give them that borrowed robe, that ruling party, we don't care which party. Buhari is now the president of Nigeria. The country of Nigeria no longer recognize him as a member of APC, but as our president and commander-in-chief of our armed forces. See, these things should sink into the head of APC and its gladiators. To my mind, I do not believe Saraki should resign or should even get impeached, because the question is this. One, In the eyes of the senators of the 8th Republic, of the 8th Senate, is he leading them very well? If the answer is yes, why change a winning team? Are you with me? I cannot say it's leading them well or it's not leading them well because I am not one of them. All I know is that, do we have good governance in Nigeria or not? If the answer is no, I hold responsible Muhammadu Buhari. It is one thing for National Assembly to pass a budget. Break it down to sectoral allocations. Break it down again to agencies and whatever. The question of how Buhari is able to galvanize all these agencies to give Nigerian good governance stop.
At this table, yeah.
So it's not for Shema to say. All those things he is saying is playing party politics. It does not put bread and butter on the table of an average Nigerian. And neither will he guarantee us dividend of democracy. But whether it is Saraki or Lawan that they have preferred, Lawan will not bring money from his pocket to run Nigeria. At best, he will unfold the program of the ruling party, which we have seen in the last 4 years. And we have seen how far it has carried on. I tell you what, as a former governor of Edo State, we saw how Katus sacked a primary school in Edo State under Obaseki. When he was campaigning for election, you will think that it was Adam looking for third term, which is down steps and whatever at campaign rally. It was one talking, not even Godwin. Now, I did not hear Oshomole say the Fulani herdsmen did not do well to his people of Edo State. Now, APC is more important to him than his people. So for me, we should not go down that way. Let's Senate decide who heads National Assembly.
All right, the Senate is due to reconvene next Tuesday with APC laying claim to 53 senators and PDP 48. The APC majority has, however, as of yesterday, increased to 54 as the party, as Alhaji Ahmed Baba Keita of the All Progressives Congress was declared winner of the by-election conducted in Katsina North Senatorial District. We are still awaiting results from the Bauchi South Senatorial District election, by-election, to fill the seat following the death of late Ali Wakili. And still on the press conference organized by Adams Oshiomhole, he said, I quote, he said, definitely, Saraki will be impeached according to law and democratic norms. And I'm wondering which democratic norms you're referring to at this point.
Well, the Constitution is very, very clear as regards how Bukola Saraki can be removed as the Senate President. You will require two-thirds majority of member of Senate voting to remove him. And if we go, I think there are about 96 or thereabout in the Senate. I don't, or what is it? 109? 109.
About 109.
About 109. I'm not too sure that 54 that the APC are claiming to have today will constitute a two-thirds majority to be able to remove Bukola Saraki.
Let's assume the APC becomes 55 too, exactly. If they win this by-election.
Okay, if they become
55, 48.
I'm not too sure that would amount to two-thirds majority to be able to remove the Senate President. But you see, Nigeria is a very, very funny country. We have seen all sorts of things happen in the past. If not, for example, that Otom quickly moved by going to court to restrain the
impeachment process.
Assembly and all that. Probably today would have been a goner. Because what the Benin Assembly did, they went in there, did the kangaroo city and said they suspended.
8 members.
Exactly, 8 members said they suspended about 20, is it about 12 or thereabout other people. And by that 8 members that are left, they will form a quorum, and two-thirds of that 8 member could conveniently impeach Otom as the governor of Benin State. So if the arithmetic of politics is applied by Oshiomhole and co. with regard to Bukola Saraki in the Senate, it is not impossible for them to impeach Bukola Saraki. They could find a way, like they are trying to do, debar or frustrate or prevent other members from coming in. And then
2 attempts have been made now. A siege was laid on his house, and that's of Ekweremadu. But Saraki surfaced and was in the office. And after the siege at the National Assembly, Saraki came out of his office and he had this heroic welcome. It's like a cat with 9 lives.
When you look at the Constitution, it says that no senator is going to be compelled to attend the sitting of the Senate, and that even when members are present, when people are not members of the Senate are present, and the decision is taken, that decision will still be
binding
on the Senate and what have you, and then the larger society. So it is not impossible for Shiomale, the way he's doing his Shabaratin and all that, to use 54 or 55 members of the APC to impeach Bukola Saraki by preventing these other people
from gaining
entrance into the National Assembly. Because if 55 of them go in there, all that they require is the third majority of the 55 to vote in favor of the impeachment of Bukola Saraki, and then they will use state apparatus like they have been doing, the police, the DSS and all that, from getting orders to really prevent that kind of thing from happening. It happened in the case of Fayose when they were going to, when Obasanjo was there, and they were going to get rid of Fayose. It was a minority, some minority.
No, let me remind you.
Okay.
Let me remind you.
Okay.
I have known Ayo Fayose for many years.
Okay.
During a build-up to his impeachment, I had a matter to do for my client at KFCC. Okay. I only knew about 3 members of that Ekiti House of Assembly. But one thing struck me. I went to visit that day, and I saw about 8 or some people under the tree near the gate of KFCC. Okay. And I asked them, who are these people? They said they are Assembly members. They were eating meat pie. Exactly. One tall man there, later found out to be Friday Aderemi, was there. Do you know that it was under that small shrub in the FCC that they said they have
moved the motion to impeach Fayose, and then it was
meat pie
in their hands and all that. So that is the kind
of knowledge.
Exactly.
State.
That is the kind of abuses that you can see in the, because by Nigerian politicians' calculation, 1 + 1 is not always 2.
No.
There is they have their own mathematics and geometry when it comes to playing politics. So it should not be ruled out that these people can really do this. But again, Bukola Saraki is not
a man to go down easily.
He is a very intelligent person, very smart
intelligent
person. And he also has the wherewithal to really be able to confront and then defend.
Professor Adeye,
okay,
analyze this thing.
Okay.
At the commencement of this Senate, when they started this campaign of calumny, maneuvering against this young man, and he says to them, and I respect that man so much because he's very intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
He has history at his fingertips. He said, let us rule Nigerians and give them dividend of democracy. But at the Senate of today, it will be difficult to impeach that young man. So when there is scale of defection now, if you must think along that line, you must go back to drawing board and put on your table the admonition of Professor Adeye and see whether what he has said has changed, such that we will have a semblance of probability of success in the enterprise. But if, as Oshiomhole has come now, I won't lose sleep. If from the way I look at it, that's why he's sleeping.
In fact, you will be amazed that even the so-called people who are remaining in the APC as senators and all that young man has been able to blend and carry everybody along in such a manner that they all believe in his leadership. You know, and in fairness too, nobody wants a rubber stamp Senate or House of Rep or a state house assemblies and all that. The reason why the Constitution has provided for 3 arms of government is that all of them should have plurality of ideas at the end of the day. I check and balance and then arrive at a consensus so that the generality of the Nigerian people can benefit from the pool of the ideas that comes into the table. But most times you find politicians behave like tyrants, like despots, and then like military rulers who will not want to tolerate any dissenting opinion. Once you disagree with them on any issue, the next is to deploy whatever.
Why should anybody say that Olisametu should be brought to court by spectre? And those who has the money fund in Ikoyi nobody's in court.
Exactly.
And all the young man has taken is 400 million naira. Dollars that were found in Ikoyi flats. Today, the story is neither here nor there.
Exactly.
Whether the former man, or the new one, Ekpeyo, or Labawa Mr. Daura, all this DSS, DIA, the one they even say is not from Nigeria, or is from Nigeria, or he studied Arabic, he's a professor. The truth of the matter is that between 400 million naira of Olisametu and the dollars found in that flat, if we are fighting for us Nigerians, which one is more humongous? Is it Olisametu's 400 million naira?
All right, all right, all right, all right.
So these are the challenges.
All right, we await the outcome of the Senate proceedings as they reconvene next Tuesday. And we'll wait. Watch and see if Oshomole will get his wish. All right, and on that note, we'll wrap up today's edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law. It was a very interesting one. You did agree with me. Thank you, Barrister Dele Oloke, for coming on the show. He's the chairman of the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association. And Barrister Tunde Kolawole, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm also a member of Ikeja branch.
All right, all right. So
yes, of the excellent branch.
And we are in Ikeja.
And we are in Ikeja, capital of Lagos State.
All right, thank you for staying with me, Judith Renoir, on Democracy and the Rule of Law. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.